Can I see your blue steel? Val's unimpressed. Whoa.
LensRentals.com, our new sponsor.
I'm liking this case. I need one of these. Okay, so the nice thing about lens rental is you get to try different lenses and then ship them right back. And the really easy part is that when you're done, they give you a return label. You just put it over the old label on the box and send it back. We have 3 85mm lenses that are going up against each other. And then I have my Nikon 105-1.4 lens as well. This isn't actually mine. Nikon is letting me borrow it, and I looked it up for this review and realized it was $2,200, and now I'm afraid of it. Don't touch it with sticky hands. This is the Sigma 85-1.4.
That is massive.
And this is the least expensive one for $1,200. It is big. And the next one is, this is the Nikon 85-1.4.
It looks like the child of the Sigma.
This is the baby. $1,600. And last but not least is the Zeiss 85-1.4. This feels expensive.
1,800 bucks.
It's so smooth and heavy.
Zeiss is famous for the quality, but that one's manual focus only, so that can be a real challenge.
I need a new 85. I think it's a really nice focal length for portraits and just a good all-around lens, so let's see. The results are in, and our first thing that we tested these lenses on is sharpness. I think it's pretty important. You want your subject's eyes to be nice and sharp, and these were all pretty sharp.
We found the Nikon 105 and the Sigma and the Zeiss were all just extremely sharp. We found the Nikon 85 to be just a hair less sharp, but most people would probably never notice. Right. And then we used this Rokinon $300 85mm f1.4 manual focus lens as a baseline, and it was noticeably less sharp.
Yeah, that was our budget. We just wanted to get a budget option in there.
You get what you pay for kind of thing.
All right, next we tested
the chromatic aberration.
Aberration. So that's you'll especially see it if your subject is backlit, and that's like the funky green or magenta outline. It's pretty ugly. So the best lens, the one that had the least amount of chromatic aberration, is the Sigma.
Yeah, it definitely looked the best, followed closely by the Nikon 105mm and then the Zeiss. They were all top notch. Those three were great. The Nikon 85, this is actually a lens that I own, and the reason I wanted to do this test is because when I shot with it, there was a lot of chromatic aberration and I wasn't very happy. And then the Rokinon, the budget option, maybe as expected, also a lot of chromatic aberration. If you get one of the lenses with CA, either you don't shoot backlit or you sign yourself up for a bunch of extra post-processing while you're trying to clean it up, because it can just be downright ugly. Let's talk about flaring and contrast. I took it and shot with our dummy directly into a studio light. A mannequin. Yeah, because we didn't have any sun to actually shoot into. But we frequently shoot with the sun behind the subject, and that will cause flaring or like low contrast. A washed out kind of ugly look. Now, I think this is where the really well-built, nice lenses had their opportunity to stand apart because it made a difference. It really did. The Zeiss looked great. The 105 looked great. The Sigma and the Nikon 85 both had flare blobs, like a random blob. And if you're shooting portraits, you don't know where this is gonna appear. I mean, it can look nice in a J.J. Abrams film, but when it shows up in a weird place on your model's face, that can end up being frustrating and you can't really clone it out. Yeah, the Rokinon gets very washed out, not really pleasing when shooting backlit. Right. Vignetting. This one surprised me because I thought that the Zeiss had this pop to it and that it was a trick that vignetting was making me think that. You know, they were all pretty much the same, but that had some of the least vignetting. The Zeiss has the most pop. It has the most... Whatever that is. No, you know it when you see it. Just look at the sample pictures. You could tell the Zeiss pictures apart every single time. All of the rest were pretty similar, right? But vignetting, that's an easy problem to solve. When I bring my pictures into Lightroom, it just automatically gets rid of that. Bokeh. Everybody's talking about bokeh. Bokeh this, bokeh that. Everybody who is a film snob or a photography snob, nobody in the real world seems to care about bokeh, but if you do, they all had pretty good bokeh. I care, and I thought they all looked pretty good. The Nikon 105 is a little bit longer of a lens, so the bokeh balls were a little bit bigger. if you just had more bokeh. And it also had a really good quality to it. I liked the quality of the Zeiss better than anything else. The Sigma also had awesome bokeh. I thought the Nikon 85 had some weird ghosting that was happening with these bokeh balls. And also the shape of it was a little bit weird.
A little football-y.
And then the Rokinon had just like a very weird cut into the bokeh shape in the extreme corners. But again, it's the kind of thing only snobs notice.
I notice. Guess I'm a snob. Focusing.
I think the most important category.
The Sigma, the autofocusing, was not as good as the two Nikon lenses, which are native to the D850 that we were using, so that makes sense. But what I didn't expect was that the Zeiss would manually focus with as much accuracy as the Sigma with its autofocus.
Yeah, that Zeiss manually focuses so well. It just feels really good. But still, with that super shallow depth of field, you have to nail focus on the iris, and if you get it on the eyelashes, the picture's out of focus.
And I think that's what you sign up for with a manual lens. You know that that's the process, and you are supposed to control it. When you're autofocusing, the autofocusing wasn't terrible, but when it's not hitting, you feel like you don't have the control and it's not working, and that's a more frustrating experience for me.
So if you're the type who wants to have a smooth workflow, if you want to produce pictures quickly, get the job done, definitely pick one of the Nikon autofocus lenses.
If we had to choose an overall winner, mine would be the Nikon 105. It's in an 85mm review. It's kind of in a class of its own. That's why we put it in here. It's good for portraits. Kind of got the same intention that you would want. Good clean pictures, great autofocus, great bokeh, sharp, and I like that little extra reach of the focal length as well. And then I also love the Zeiss too.
Yeah, I'd pick the Zeiss if I were going just on image quality, but I would really miss having that autofocus. And the Sigma also has amazing image quality. We have three like really amazing lenses here with image quality, and then the Nikon 85 is just not quite up to par because of the chromatic aberration.
Yeah, I think anyone would be extremely happy with those three. And I think that the Nikon 85 gets it done and it works just fine. So I guess our number one choice is the Nikon 105.
So Chelsea, are you going to buy the 105?
I would love to, but it's $2,200 and I don't shoot portraits all of the time, so I would probably rent it.
Maybe from our sponsor, lensrentals.com.
Yeah, you can go to lensrental.com. They make it really easy to rent. You don't have to make that commitment of buying, and you can try before you buy or even just rent for the occasion that you want to shoot for.
Yeah, a lot of pros do that, and we can save you 15%. Use the coupon code Northrop15.
Northrop15.
Thanks, Lens Rentals, and if you want to see more awesome camera reviews, photography tutorials, and lots more, subscribe.